And so give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Sure. Okay. So I'm Renee Hughes. I am the co-founder of Seven Figure Profits, and we're a CPA firm with a twist. We work with people's emotions and fulfillment as much as we do their tax strategy. So we're all about helping what we call the seven figure poor. Those are these folks who are we're in that 1 to 10 million bracket in revenue, but man, it doesn't feel like it. And so they're dealing with the hustle of building and not feeling fulfilled along the way. And we have a holistic approach of helping them with their tax strategy and their mental health all at the same time.
Nice. I love it. Well, and I think it's such an interesting paradox because everybody's goal under a million is like, hey, just want to hit seven figures, just want to get so you get to seven figures. Like this does not feel like I thought it would feel at seven figures. And there's this paradox where the company's making that much, but you don't necessarily feel like you're taking that much home or that it's kind of giving you the freedom and the financial abundance that you were hoping that it might give you. Not saying that it always happens that way, but it's it's interesting to me that until somebody comes along, somebody like you, to be able to rearrange it and put kind of everything in place, then you get that feeling of okay, I've made it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It is. It's very surprising, I think, is what happens because just what you said, if you weren't born into those kinds of numbers and you start a business, that's kind of the pinnacle. We
Mhm.
just feel like, at first you want to get to that six figures, but it's really around that mid six figure mark where you start to notice a pattern. Expenses are going up, but your bank account, your take home pay is not. It starts at the mid six figures. But if you have a good product or service, you're going to continue to scale and grow. And so that's how you end up in the seven figure poor status because you're making it, you're making the seven figures. But it's like, uh-oh, this doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel. So it is, it's a surprising thing that we did not expect. But we're just living in different times, different economy, different life here. And so now that seven figures just is not what it used to be.
So talk to me about some of the typical mistakes that people will make or oversights or whatever that happen in business that kind of happens over and over again. You're like, oh, I wish people would just know that if they did this ahead of time, they wouldn't have to experience all the chaos and mayhem that they have been experiencing.
The big thing is going to sound so simple, but it's true. It's just what we see over and over again is that people won't slow down long enough to figure out what's broken. When you're making that kind of money, you kind of get in this mindset of I have to keep going. I got to keep. I can't, if I stop, it's all going to stop coming in, and I still don't have enough yet. So I have to keep going at full speed. But in truth, what we ask people to do and what we do with them is just slow down. Let's slow down just a little bit. Take a breath and figure out what do you really want because sometimes that's changed. There's been a pivot between what you started with and where you're ultimately going, and we need to be able to make those pivots both in your tax strategy, your planning, your business strategy, your operations. Everything might need to change a little bit. And you can maybe make that 10x jump instead of just making these little 2x jumps along the way. And so we support them with that. So honestly, the first thing is just slowing down, taking that breath and saying, what are we really going for here? And get out of that hustle mentality.
Absolutely. Well, I also find you say going for the 2x instead of 10x and find some people are going like just 10%. Like just get 10% up. I'm gonna be okay. And a lot of times it's being able to really talk to somebody like you again to understand that they really do have a good product. They really do have
Mhm.
something that's substantial in the industry. They're just not, you know, productizing it properly, or they're not
Mhm.
pricing it properly, or they're not like there's some aspect of it that it could be more profitable than it is, which then allows them to have a nice little tax challenge that they want to have.
Right. And I think along those lines, I love that you brought that up. One of the big things that we see with this particular thing, having a good product or service, is messaging. Messaging is something that's usually a little off. So then what's happening is, yes, people are taking the product or service, but they're not having a retention sometimes. So they're maybe having some good high ticket sales, but they're not holding on to the clients. They're not getting referrals because they're not quite working with the right group of people, even at those seven figures. And so it will feel better Plus, you're having the good income. When your messaging is on point, you're talking to who you're supposed to be talking to for this product or service, and you're going to find more turnover, less turnover, more retention. And that's also a huge help in making seven-figure profits.
And I love this because typically in the industry, most people aren't having messaging conversations with their financial advisor, the tax accountants. So, kind of what breadth and width
Yeah.
do you cover? Because that's a huge spectrum. And
Hmm.
I mean, it's to me, it's insane the limited amount of information people get out of their tax account. They just show up at the end of the year,
Hmm.
they do their taxes, they get a receipt, they either owe or they don't, and they go yay or nay, and that's the end of the conversation, which drives me crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, don't
It
do
is,
it.
and that this is something that comes up a lot. People are like, I don't come to my CPA for this whole thing. Well, the thing that makes us different is that we have divisions within our company. So we have our CPA or CFO team that will help you with what you expect when you come, for they help you with your tax strategy and saving your taxes and make sure that your business plan, and they talk to your financial advisor and your attorney and really get all of that money stuff tight. But then we have a wellness division where we work and to get you out of burnout, you and your team out of burnout. Because usually folks who are seven-figure poor, it's them and their team and their family. Everybody's burned out. So we have that wellness division, and then we have a marketing division with expert messaging experts and things like that, so that you're coming to one place, but you have experts in each division that can take up your business, understanding the full spectrum of your business and the goals of your business and your life. And together we help you get there as a team.
Nice. I love it. Well, and it's so important to me because a lot of entrepreneurs are the ones that have a good idea. They're like, I'm just going to figure this out as I go, which is great because it's kind of what you have to do. And then there comes a point where, okay, there are pillars of business that have been proven for, the last, I don't know, 4,000 years now. We might want to kind of tap into a little bit of those resources and figure this thing out. And kind of in your experience, when does that point come when somebody realizes, hey, I actually need some help here? Maybe somebody from the outside might know something more about business than I do and can kind of see
Yeah.
things that I can't see. When does that usually happen?
What's funny, my husband always calls it's the moment when they wake up and they go, because they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. It's that day when you're like, I cannot do this again today. I don't want to do the whole thing, and you're just over it. So when you hit that point, we really love to get people before they're completely exasperated. But that's when you know for sure you need some help. What you're doing is not working. You're kind of hamster wheeling it, like you're just going in a circle. And the whole grassroots figure it out kind of thing really does not work. We have had businesses that have accidentally gotten into the high six figures and maybe even seven figures on the let's figure it out mentality, but it really is not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. And it certainly is not going to contribute to fulfillment. So you really do, once you get to that point where you feel like you're not enjoying it. Everything is a hustle. And it almost seems like we've had several clients say this thing. It almost seems like and feels like the more successful you are, the more frustrating and the more expensive everything is. And you're like, can I just go back to when I was excited about making six figures?
Right?
That it really is this whole thing, and you just feel like it's flipping in your head and you can't grasp it. So when you start to feel that, and honestly, like I said, really it starts to take hold around mid six figures. But what happens is a lot of people stay in the hustle, they stay in the hustle and they keep moving forward, and they do get to the seven figures, but they're exhausted and everything is expensive insurance and payroll and all the things. So it's not a comfortable, happy, seven figures that they get
Right.
to.
Well, and I know a lot of people too. They're like, well, I am supported by these successful people, or I am surrounded by people that know because I have a Facebook expert, because I have a social media expert, because I have a this expert. And it's like, yeah, do any of them understand the tax code? 'Cause until those people understand the tax code, you haven't really figured out the engine that is. It's kind of like you
Yeah.
have the scooter that starts off, and then you get into the go-karts, and then you get into you're still self-making it. And it's like if you
Yeah.
want your car to run like the engine of a Lamborghini, you really that's the pinnacle point where you got to talk to a tax accountant and somebody who understands these things, because
Absolutely.
otherwise it just doesn't run smoothly.
It really doesn't. My husband has a keynote. So he's the CPA, so that's why I talk about him when I talk about the CPA portion. He has a keynote talk that talks about why you're eating ramen noodles while in a Tesla. So this is the thing. It's like we're doing all of this high end stuff, but still struggling in some areas, and secretly struggling because, when your business reaches a certain revenue stream, everybody thinks and feels like you're this massive success. So it becomes almost embarrassing, and we don't really want to talk about it because we're like, everybody views me as a success, and you are a success. It's not easy creating a business that reaches those kinds of numbers. So you have done it and you should be proud. But also along with that, you do need that partner who gets the full picture, including, of course, the tax code for sure.
Right. So, what are some of the things that people could be looking at that typically they're not in their business to go, well, you mentioned the wellness and the marketing, the messaging. So, is there kind of a way to be able to uh, see it ahead of time and go, oh, okay. Like one, if you're not feeling well, that's probably a good indication. Two, if you're putting things out there and it's constantly kind of the same, I find the same return. So, if you're
Hmm.
doing digital marketing and your click rate throughs are kind of always the same, you put up another page and it's always the same, and you change the pictures, the image, and you're still getting the same click through rate, it's time to
Hmm.
look at something else because it's
Absolutely.
not usually the things that you're changing that are going to make the difference. So,
Yeah, the first thing is when it comes to your tax strategy is to have a strategy. A lot of people don't, believe it or not. They're talking to their accountant, reactively when they've heard from the IRS or when they realize, oh, I've got this big giant, tax bill and I need to make payments or I need to, figure out how to pay this thing. Why did I owe so much? But in truth, you really need to be talking to your tax professional throughout the year. You need a plan ahead of time. You should really be planning for years ahead for what and all along the way, every decision that you're making, you want to be talking to them. Well, if you're going to buy a house, if you're going to sell a house, if you're getting married, if you're getting divorced, as your children age. Um, there's so many decisions that you want to be having that conversation with. It's going to make a huge difference. So that's something that a lot of people just don't do. They go through and they spend whatever they want to spend, and they don't pay estimated taxes. They don't know what structure they should be in. They don't know if they should be an S corp or a C corp. They don't know what entities. They don't know that they can put like real estate under their C corp or S corp. There's just so many things that are being missed, and we see people leaving hundreds of thousands, not exaggerating, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table or handing it over to the IRS just because they didn't know that they could do these simple things that actually just dramatically impacts and enriches their own life, makes things easier for them, and it saves them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the probably one of the basic things is to make sure that you're having meetings with your accountant. It should be someone who is experienced with tax planning, someone who is proactive and not reactive, and that can guide you along the way with all these decisions that you have to make throughout the year.
yeah, it was kind of funny. The rules of thumbs we kind of hit when we were years ago when I was talking about business was as soon as you're starting to put everything on your business on your credit card, it's time to talk to your CPA. As soon as you
Mhm,
start thinking about buying stocks, it's time to talk to your CPA. As soon as you
mhm.
start buying life insurance, it's time to talk to your CPA. It's like, what do
Yeah.
those things have to do with my CPA? It's like everything. That has
Everything,
everything.
everything, every decision, even when you're getting married, when you're getting
Right?
divorced, it's so interesting that people don't realize how just regular life when your kids go into college, everything, and they're not thinking about even this is another example. So many people, you get to a certain age and financially you're helping family members. You're helping your parents, you're helping this person over here, and you're just kind of giving them money. Where there are things that you can do with your family members that stuff is tax deductible. You could give them some work to do. You can give them, can code it in a certain way and bring them under, and it's all legal. It's not even like loopholes. It's just like it's legal stuff that you can do that instead of you just giving out, all this money because everybody's got their hand out because you're the successful one in the family, right? There's a way to do that where you're supporting family and it's helping you in this other area. So it's just like everything, it's really important to have a conversation with your CPA.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I was 18, it was probably way before I needed to know this. I started learning about trusts and things. And it's like, I should probably learn how to make money first before I'm learning about trust, but whatever.
You were smart. You were ahead of the game.
Right?
That's
And I was
good.
like, this is brilliant. Like, who thought of this stuff? It's like, yeah, people with
Hmm.
money. Being able to just understand how we can create a business that because everybody's experiencing the same thing. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to get across in this podcast is I know you feel like you're isolated and that what you're going through is totally weird and it's just for you and it's an anomaly and nobody's ever
Hmm.
experienced or felt this way before, but it's not true. Almost everybody has felt that way, especially if they're at the same place in business as you are. If you've
Hmm.
overhired and you're not feeling like you have the profits, if you've underhired and or undercharged your clients and you're feeling like you can't up your prices or change your the clientele, like every problem that everybody has ever come across has been felt before.
It's true. We're all in the same boat, and it's so interesting because what you say is true. People feel like they're isolated with this thing, and they feel like they've done something wrong. It's like, why does it feel this way? This was supposed to be the part where I could kind of, relax a little bit and enjoy, and instead you feel so frazzled, and you don't feel like you have enough. I love what you said about the team. Sometimes you feel like you don't have enough help, and you're hiring and you're hiring, and you're still not getting the right help, which a lot of that is just you're hiring the wrong people, and it just gets to be so fragile. But I think it's such a good message to help people to see you are not alone. We've done the research. More than 40% of people that are in that 1 to 10 million are struggling. So it's not just you, and it's not just this weird thing that you're doing something wrong. It's part of the process and it's part of the journey, and it's definitely fixable.
I love it. Well, and I'm trying to tell people too that haven't gone on a holiday in like 7 years. It's like, dude, you know that that's a tax write-off, right? Like that that one a year. You should just at least get that one a year. And they're thinking, well, I don't have a board of directors, so how is an AGM going to be a tax write-off for me? It's like because it is. It's almost the
Talk to your
rule number
CPA.
one in business. Because like, come on, enjoy this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to do
Nice.
it.
I love it. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you about a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I'm super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Yeah, so Cinderella stories, we have several. One of the ones that I guess I'm really excited about now because it's more recent. But in our business, we are our niche is working with people, of course, business owners, but in particular, entertainers, actors, singers, and things like that. They are brands, they are business owners. People forget that sometimes, but we work with quite a few of them. And recently, we had one who came in, and this is how most of them come in. Sometimes you can gain popularity pretty quickly, and you're making millions of dollars like all of a sudden. You were nobody, and now like it's like, you're selling out concerts, and this person is just selling out concerts at really high levels and traveling the world and completely lost as to what to do with all that money and leaving again hundreds of thousands of dollars, on the table. So came to us in an emotional state of like, what do I do? like, what's happening. I almost want to just stop and go back to when I was drawing, crowds in little cafes. That was comfortable. I knew what to do. And now this has become this big, massive thing. And I'm hiring people. And every time I turn around, I'm hiring somebody else. And I've got an attorney and I've got this, I've got several attorneys. And they were just completely scattered. And so within a matter of less than 3 months, um, we're getting messages like, I'm so happy. I feel so calm. I can breathe. I'm relaxed. I know exactly what to do. Not only that, but creatively, the songs he was able to write, his performances, his marriage, everything was just being greatly impacted. And this is why we take the holistic approach that we take. It's not just about those dollars. It is so many decisions and so many emotions around that, even his health, because you're doing everything to just kind of keep your head above water. And when you can just stop and breathe, and he was just so grateful that within a few months, not only that, being able to work along with his attorney, recommend a different attorney because he wasn't actually getting the support that he should have been getting, work within his team, his business manager, helping people to kind of be in the right seats. So we have a whole operations section where we were able to help to redirect some of that energy so that everybody wasn't doing the same thing. We're able to help him to pull out of the day to day. And so that he could be in that creative space and put on the concerts and enjoy that portion of it and enjoy, his marriage and his some other new relationships just blossoming spiritually. He said he was just feeling like he was better than he had ever been. And it was just a matter of having experts in the different areas where everything could kind of just come together like a puzzle. Instead of having all these gaping holes that we could just sit down and say, okay, breathe, we got you. All right, so we're going to take a look at this. This is where you can save a ton. Let's put you in this kind of a structure. Let's put your properties here. Let's put, your tour bus here. Just knowing where to put all the pieces just gave him so much relief, not to mention saving, and I mean hundreds of thousands. So it's just one of the stories where people can they come to us and they just end up feeling safe and relaxed and in the best creative space that they've been in since probably they started.
I love it. And that is
Hmm.
so key. I mean, yeah, hire lawyers and you expect, okay, you do your lawyer thing and I'll do my thing. And it's like, that's not how it works.
And
Unfortunately,
they
that's
don't always know. And one of the things with this person is we said, we'd love for you to have an attorney that works in the music industry. No shade on this person. We're not out there trying to get people's teams fired,
right.
but we do, just have a real conversation over, hey, you need somebody in this industry, and to understand where your lanes are. We understand where our lane is, and we know when to bring in an MBA or bring in another attorney or bring in a different kind of specialist. And that's what we do.
Nice. I love it. Well, and because it is, and there are so many ways that business can go wrong. I think that we haven't even explored all the ways in which business can go wrong yet, which is why people keep making wonderful and fantastic mistakes in business. But I'm assuming you've had your share of experience of seeing what can go wrong in the industry. Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. So we have this is a cautionary tale we tell quite a bit. So we had a client who was brilliant. I mean, really brilliant. Business was making well into like 5 to 8 million every year, but this person hadn't literally not paid their taxes in like 5 years. Completely and utterly overwhelmed at the thought of dealing
Uh,
with taxes. It was a shocking situation. It's
yeah.
probably the worst. Well, it is the worst that we had to deal with, which is why we always tell this story. But just this really kind-hearted, brilliant person who had developed an incredible business and was constantly getting business. But the thought of dealing with finances was paralyzing. And so we really worked with them. And this is the thing. Our team got on with the IRS and had, so many meetings with them and finally got this person on a doable plan, where they could pay off their debt for, I mean, a fraction. It was going to save them hundreds of thousands of dollars, save them that much. All they had to do was like three things, one of which was just to call our team back so that they could walk them through the other things. They were so paralyzed by the emotion and the fear of what was going to happen that they missed that one-time deal. And we have the paperwork where the IRS agent said this is a one-time deal. We will never do this again because this is not something that they usually do. But my husband is somebody it's hard to say no to. And he had gotten a relationship with this agent. They were talking back and forth, and he's just like, give this guy, but like he really wants to get this paid off. He explained what happened. He really went to battle for this person, and they lost the deal because they didn't pay. And now they are back to owing. I can't even tell you the number. I actually don't even
Oh,
remember, but we were all sick, like just literally physically sick because the entire team jumped in to work on this case. And because this person they would not return our calls. They would
oh,
not take the steps. And when we finally got them, literally in tears, them and their spouse on the phone, we explained, like, hey, this is what happened. We tried, we got you the deal of a lifetime and it's now gone. And they were just sobbing and just like, we're so overwhelmed and this was happening and that was happening. And we didn't know what you guys were going to want us to do. We didn't feel like we could do it. But this happened before
that's
we introduced.
why you need to
This is
take the
why you need
call.
is like
You're not
take the
gonna know
call.
by sitting there staring at a or not
It,
staring at
I
avoiding a ringing phone. That's not gonna help you get the answers you're looking for. Doesn't work
It
that
feels
way.
impossible that that happened. I know, but
Oh,
it really did happen. And these are not unintelligent people. This is the thing. So smart
right.
with everything else. But this was before we introduced what we call profit psychology. That case was one of the reasons because I had a separate business in wellness. I'm an aroma psychologist, so I was helping people over in my own business in this way. But when that happened, we were like, we really need to bring this over to this part of the company to help people to deal with the emotions and the fears and the anxiety over money in the IRS.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that because I think just hearing those letters freaks some people out. And I have
Yeah.
had super successful people. I had only seen this in movies. I'm going, people don't really do this, but they really do. There's a drawer full of bills that have never been opened from the envelope. And I'm like, you don't run a business, right? You have bookkeepers, accountants, like just send it to them. They'll open them. All good. Like you don't even have to do this. And I kind of giggle laugh, but it does come down to this is terrorizing for these people. And, as a therapist, let's talk about this because it can go down to, in grade 2, my math teacher slapped me on the wrist and it hurt like a mother. So I'm not doing that. I'm not opening it up, but I get it. And we get hijacked emotionally by these little kids inside of our bodies. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It's never going to be logical. It's emotional. And how do they deal with them?
You're exactly right. It's exactly what happens. It's these little kids inside of us, and it's epigenetics. We're used to epigenetics when we were talking about high blood pressure and cancer and cholesterol. We know that we have the genetics from our parents, but what we don't real or our upbringing, sometimes it's biological, sometimes it's not. But it happens from a very young age. Our relationship with money, with ourselves, feeling like we're enough, feeling like we can do this, feeling like we don't have I'll give you another story. There was a client who her story was she was raised in a family where they did very well. She didn't want for anything, but her grandparents lived through the Depression. So she physically had just been handed those genes that felt like at any minute it's all going to go away. She's making millions, but she's like, at any minute it's all going to go away. I'm going to be eating cat food. I'm not going to have food. Like it literally was ingrained in her just from, the genetics and the trauma that her grandparents went through. She didn't even, wasn't even raised in that environment. So this is what happens. We are saddled with this stuff. And the first thing is it's just like the same that we do with our health. You're not doomed to, getting high blood pressure or getting these things if you head it up and you acknowledge, you know what, I'm someone who needs to be careful with these particular foods because I'm going to end up over here if I don't, if I don't exercise, if I don't do this and that. It's being aware and being proactive. It's the same thing when it comes to these little kids inside of us who are making these big decisions, is being aware and talking to that kid and helping that kid to grow up and to feel safe. And when that happens, you can start making the grown people decisions and feel comfortable and safe. But we've got to acknowledge that kid and comfort that kid and give them what they need to feel safe so that you can do what you really are out here to do.
Absolutely. So when most people are coming to you with those, I mean, it's not something that typically quote unquote air quote successful people come in and go, hey, I'm just gonna admit that I'm eating ramen noodles and I'm losing my mind because I think that, I'm gonna be eating cat food. And you look around, you go, hey, I got a million plus house, I've got the $100,000 car, I've got the goods, and I am losing my mind every time I go and look at the mail. I don't even pick up my own mail. I have somebody do that for me, and I'm losing my mind. Like, how does somebody grapple with the fact that really this is not something you have to deal with on your own? This is the exact reason why you come to somebody like Renee and get her help. But like, they're not just going to go, hey, I can't look at mail, can you help me? Because
I love that you did.
I know when I was in that kind of position, that was not something I was willing to just come out and blurt out to somebody and go, yeah, I'm a complete whack nut, can you help me with that?
That's true.
Those are
You
my
know,
words, not theirs.
it's true. And most of the time when people come to us, it's not to have that conversation. They usually come to us because the thing that they're seeing is that I'm making these seven figures and it's my bank account's not showing it. That's what they usually come to us for. It's in the process of us, because we know what all is involved. It's in the process of us saying, hey, we have this other division where along with this, we're going to definitely help you with this. But if you ever just feel really tired, that's how we usually introduce it. You feel very tired, you're feeling frustrated, feel like you're going to pop sometimes. We've got somebody for you to talk to that can kind of help you just relax and breathe and just feel better about the process, to feel a little bit more relaxed, to feel like you can come out of the hustle. And it's in those conversations that the other stuff comes out. But you're right, nobody's going to come and say, like, I'm afraid of mail, like, I'm literally afraid of the phone. I can't, all these things. But as they feel safe, and as we explain to them, I talk to them about the central nervous system and how to regulate your emotions and what that's going to mean for them. And then over time, these things come out and we're able to deal with them. But yeah, they don't. And I think having conversations like this, where I'm interviewed, I'm writing a lot about it, and people see the different stories and they see and they're like, oh, okay, so I'm not really crazy. I'm just human and this is the human experience, and that helps them to feel safe, that they can say, I think I am kind of afraid, or I think I am kind of overwhelmed over here, or I'm spending like a crazy person because I don't feel enough. And that comes, all of that comes with time. It's definitely not the initial conversation.
Nice. And even if it is the initial conversation, peeps, you've already had the warm up to it now. So Renee's all
That's
warmed
right.
up for it. You can just go, hey, I heard you on Michelle's podcast and I'm afraid of my phone. She'll be like, yeah, totally cool. Let's go. So it's all good. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that conversation with you?
A really great place to find me is LinkedIn. I have a lot of conversations over there. So Renee Hughes Coach, over on LinkedIn is a great place to find us. Also, you can look us up at sevenfigureprofits.com.
Nice. We will, of course, have all of Renee's links in the show notes. So go ahead and scroll down, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. So, Renee, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were a special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
Oh boy, at what point? High school. I
What
was in high
happened?
school when I knew I wanted to do something different. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But my husband and I were our main vocation, we are full-time volunteer ministers. We both decided to do that in high school. And so we wanted to do something that would give us the freedom to support that work. And we just always knew that was entrepreneurship. So that was before we even met each other. We made that decision. So yeah, it was in high school.
Wow. One, how do you make that decision in high school? That is crazy and impressive. And two, oh, I think I need to finance my hopes and dreams. That sounds like a teenage thing to think. Most of them are worried about the guy down the hall or whatever the case might be. And no, getting homework done, cramming for an exam when you forgot about it. Those are normal
Mhm.
high school things, not saving the world. That is awesome.
Yeah, I had really good parents and a great spiritual upbringing. We were taught, we were enrolled in ministry school as children, and we had lots of practice, talking to people and
Oh,
teaching the Bible. So it was ingrained as a young child, and I embraced it. So a lot of times people rebel against that kind of upbringing. They're like, I don't want this stuff. As soon as I'm 18, I'm out. But I loved it, and I always felt very full. And I wanted to share that. So I knew
that's
I knew
awesome.
that's what I wanted.
I just picture you as a little kid doing that. So cute. The image in my head is adorable. Awesome. Awesome. So, Renee, you've been absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it immensely, and I know how valuable it is. And any last words for our peeps?
The last thing is just know you're not alone. I mean, we laugh about the seven-figure poor thing, but it's a real thing and it doesn't feel good. And it's okay. It's okay that you're supposed to be successful, but you feel like a little bit of a mess because it's just the human experience and you're just not alone. I think that's the biggest thing that I want to leave with.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedlock. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over seven figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over seven figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.